Clinical Writer's Choice. Part 3. Resources and Skills. Unit 22. History and Development of English. Lesson 4. Old and Middle English. Old and Middle English. Well, if you can read the first three lines of Beowulf, which says, Hafanu on jehil hossa celest, Jemyana barabho, Magan ellen sayo, Wakawio rachpum. Yes, that is English, but not the English that we know today. Instead, it's Old English. Probably in the future, now English will probably be considered Middle English, and in the far future, it will be considered part of the Old English. Yeah, it is English. English will always evolve, and in the future, we'll probably have languages that are probably so different from ours, but we're not at modern English yet, so let's just skip that part. Old English was the language of the inhabitants of Britain before the Romans actually colonized it. They guys were the Celts, and then they were colonized by the Romans. And the Celts were actually left defenseless against the series of the Romans and by the Picts and the Scots from the north and the south, and yeah, that's how they got destroyed. And then after that, after they were conquered by the Romans, they even got Latin into their own language. So, that's how we got the English of Old English. Now, Old English was formed by irregular word formation, and there were many ways to form plurals of nouns and the past tense of the verbs. Now, let's talk about Middle English. By about the early 12th century, which is the 1100s, exactly then. By about 1100, enough of these cumulative changes had occurred to actually change the English language forever. English always changes, like how a suit of armor can change after a little bit of wear and tear. Let's stop the analogy. It's a transitional period for English, and in this period, in the Middle Ages, lasted all the way around to the 15th century in 1450. How did Middle English actually differ from Old English? Well, read these lines from Geoffrey's, Chaucer's The Nun's Priest's Tale, written in Middle English. We are desiring, if it might be, spelled like today's the honeybee bee, to han house bonds, hardy wise and free. I mean, this text is more similar to modern English, and it's way more easier to read and understand than the Old English of Beowulf, which changes just how much cosmetics, so it's really easier to read, but then again, it's not that easy to read. And then again, it doesn't have any regular or plural verbs yet, so we'll have to get to that in modern English. Now let's talk about Weasel Words. You might have seen those advertisements saying, new and improved, helps with your skin condition, helps with dandruff. At least that's how I used it, and it actually worked. Yay! Not an advertisement, by the way. And acts fast, clean smooth surfaces. You've probably seen those advertisements, right? And you got tricked into buying them, but it turns out that they're cheap and fake. Well, not exactly. These words like new, helps are actually called weasel words. Help actually means just, help. It doesn't really do anything. It just gives assistance or aid. And help is a weasel word, because let's give an example of a weasel word sentence like helps fight your skin condition. Well, it does fight your skin condition and also helps fight it, but it doesn't say that it will heal it. People, when they're on commercial or just read them, the labels, when they're all so big, then it'd be like so good. And this is what happens. When they read it, the viewer reads it, they decide that help actually means it will fix it, even though that's not exactly what it means. And so that's how people somehow trick you into buying those fake but useless products from what you understood. So read the label carefully and think about what it actually means. Shannon out. Peace. Time flies. Shannon out.